Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to America once again, and quite recently Kiosk over in Copenhagen, which as I've told you is one of my favourite beer shops, they had a sort of Illinois, Chicago kind of beer event. So they imported a number of beers from over in the Chicago area in America, and I came back from Germany a couple of days ago and I was able to pop in and pick up some of these beers. So you will see a couple of these reviews over the next kind of couple of weeks. So for the first one of these we are going to go to the Maplewood Brewery and we're going to have a taste of my first beer from them. So this one is the Son of Juice. It's a New England style IPA coming in at 6.3% ABV, and this is meant to be a pretty good beer, this actually. Jesse Holden, who's followed the channel for quite a wee while actually, he told me that this is a really quite nice beer, so definitely looking forward to this one. It was rated 95 or 96 overall on Rate Beer from what I remember, and I think it had 4 stars on Untappd if I'm remembering correctly, so it should be pretty damn good, and I'm looking forward to trying this one, so I hope you guys enjoy my take on it as well. As I say, a special shout out to Jesse, who's followed the channel for a number of years, and he sent me a good couple of beers from the likes of Pipeworks and things like that before the Chicago beers started to become a little bit more well known over here. And it is cool in Europe to get beers from different states in America, because from what I understand, the laws about moving beers over state borders and things in America is a little bit crazy and stuff like that, so it is cool for us to get things here from the different states. But looking forward to this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So as is usual in my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from the Maplewood Brewery. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about the Maplewood Brewery then. So the Maplewood Brewery were founded back in 2014 by Paul and Ari Margulis, who are of course brothers, and also Ari's childhood friend Adam Saslack, and they're based in the Maplewood area of Logan Square in Chicago in Illinois, which is kind of in the northwestern part of the city if I'm remembering correctly. But Ari studied entrepreneurship and management, and he worked for a number of years as a manager at the Chateau Rich, which was owned by his family. I believe it was his father and his uncle that owned that business, but he'd always been a beer enthusiast, and he began to homebrew in his parents' kitchen along with his childhood friend Adam. But after finding a suitable location, the company was officially founded in January of 2014, and they released their first beer, which was the Charlatan Pale Ale, in October of that year as well, and they further expanded their repertoire since. There's about 25 or so different kind of regular beers listed on their webpage if you go and have a look at it. As I said, the brewery website's in the description below. But in 2016 they also began to distill spirits, and they've produced a number of different whiskies that seem to use the same malts that they use in their beers, which is quite cool. And they've also produced a gin as well, and you can have a look at that on the spirits part of the website too. It seems like quite interesting actually. I'd love to try some of the whiskies there. I've not tried too many American whiskies, of course. Being Scottish, it's mainly Scottish whiskies that I've drunk, and I've drank quite a few Japanese ones since the missus is Japanese. But they've also got their on-site bar as well, which serves the beers, spirits, cocktails and food, and I think they do brewery tours on request as well. So yeah, just if you're interested in a brewery tour there, I guess contact them. But yeah, really interesting brewery this one, as is the case with most of the American breweries actually. A lot of them were born through home brewing, but it's cool to review another one from Chicago because of, you know, Pipeworks I guess is probably the most famous one over there at the moment. It's probably the most widely available Chicago beer that we have in Europe. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, check out the brewery website in the description below. Like I said, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram as well, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on. But let's get on to the actual tasting section of the video now. So like I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is a 6.3% IPA. The hops in this one are Mosaic, Simcoe and and Warrior and Nugget, both of which are, Warrior and Nugget are kind of fairly common hops, but they're mainly bittering hops from what I remember. The Nugget is like a sort of slightly herbal and floral bittering hop, whereas the Warrior is a little bit more of a kind of citrusy bittering hop. And the malt base in this one is Pilsner malt. They've also got some naked oats and some regular oats in the malt base there as well. But yeah, that's all we really need to say about the beer before we can taste it. Brewery notes off then, and let's get on to the tasting of this beer. So I have to say, I quite like the drawing on the artwork on this one. It's almost like a little kid did it. I think that's pretty cool. It's like, it's got a really nice sort of artistic background, and it's got almost just like the little kids drawing on there. But yeah, it says on the side here, a chip off the old hop, brewed by Maplewood Brewing Company, Chicago, Illinois. And yeah, it tells you, here are the statistics on the side of the beer there as well. So yeah, nicely presented. But yeah, be fluid as well. Yeah. So yeah, 6.3% New England style IPA, this one. Let's get it out and we'll get on with the taste. Yeah, really looking forward to this. And as I say, always cool to try different beers from different states in America, because it's quite rare to find some of these. And I think this is going to be pretty fresh. Should be enough for the moment. There is still a little bit left in the can, and as I always say, this is one of the things I always complain about. 440ml cans, just use a half litre, just use the European measurements rather than doing these fluid ounces and pints and things. So it says here this one was canned on the 18th of September 2018, 9/18/18, which in American dates, because the Americans do their dates the other way around, that is September the 18th. So yeah, with this one, as you can see, it's poured actually a nice bright yellow colour. There's a solid finger of a frothy white head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there, but you know, it doesn't look surprising, nothing surprising in terms of appearance from this beer. When you think that it's a New England IPA. If I stick my fingers behind the glass, you can see this beer is pretty hazy, and again, that is not surprising. So in terms of appearance, pretty much exactly what you would expect from a New England IPA. And as you open this beer up, you really can smell some of the lovely passion fruity notes from the Simcoe coming out of this one. That's what's striking me right away. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. Ooh, yeah, for me, it's a really nice mix of like passion fruit and sort of tangerine oranges. The oranges, of course, the tangerine notes will be coming from the mosaic, but the mosaic also gives it a little bit of a kind of blueberry tinge. That's always one of the complexities that you'll get a little bit with mosaic. So, but for me, the fruity notes in this one, it smells lovely, very juicy and fruity, but it's pretty straight up. It's not too complex in its fruity aromas, but they're nice and they're very, you know, how do you say, they're kind of ever present, if you like. So lovely passion fruits in there. Oh, lost a little bit. Lovely passion fruity notes in there. A bit of tangerine orange, a little bit of a sharper orange rather than the kind of oily orange you would get from the Amarillo hop. So a bit more of an oily, a sort of sharper tangerine orange to this one. A little bit of a blueberry note as well, but of course you've got some nice spicy floral aromaticity to this one. There is a touch of a herbal quality, and like I was saying, that comes from the Nugget hop. And you've got a little bit of a nice, there's almost a little bit of the sort of grassy notes in this one have just got a little bit of a distinctive, more lemony or maybe even a very touch limey note, and I guess that could be the Warrior. But that's very kind of minimal, of course. The main focus of the aroma here is the sort of passion fruits, the oranges, and the sort of blueberry complexities that you'll get from the Simcoe. When you sugar this one up a little bit, it's interesting because normally in a New England IPA, from what I gather, they'll use, a lot of the time they'll use wheat malts to kind of thicken it up a little bit, but they've used Pilsner malts in this one, so I'm really interested to see how that affects the mouthfeel in this beer. But when it's rated 96 overall in Rate Beer, Rate Beer, of course, there are things about it. One of the big companies owns a share, it's American dominated, there's a few things like that. You have to take Rate Beer with a bit of a pinch of salt, but when it's rated 95 on Rate Beer, it usually is a fairly good barometer of how good the beer's going to be. And Untappd, of course, if it's got a 4 on Untappd, then it will be pretty good, I think. So I'm very curious to see how the Pilsner malts come out in this one. But with the malt base in this, you can definitely smell the oaty creaminess, but you also get a little bit of that kind of distinctive biscuity note that you'll sometimes get, or cookies as the Americans would call it. I should say cookies because it's an American beer. Speak American English in this one. But yeah, with this beer, you can definitely smell a little bit of that nice kind of biscuity note there, and when you sugar it up, you really do get a nice waft of that oaty creaminess in there. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one now then. It smells very, very nice. As I always say, take a bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But let's have a taste now. This one is the Son of Juice, a New England IPA at 6.3% from the Maplewood Brewery in Chicago in Illinois. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål. Ooh, yeah. I'll just say straight away, that's a nice beer. As I was saying, you know, as I was expecting, it's not one of the more creamy New England IPAs that you're going to come across. It is a little bit more lighter and kind of easy drinking, if that makes sense. But the New England IPAs that's one of the things with them, they are easy to drink. But this one, it's almost a little bit wetter in its mouthfeel or something like that. It's got a little bit more of that kind of thirst quenching thing to it, I guess, because of the Pilsner malts. But yeah, this is a solid beer, that. Let's get the rest of it out. And you can see from this one as I pour it, it's not the most hazy New England IPA that you're going to come across. It is a hazy IPA, there's no doubt about that. But just when you pour it, this one is not. It is hazy, but it's not quite the sort of fruit juice that you can get from some of these beers. But yeah, with this one, it is a really, really nice beer. Let's start off with the malt base then. So with this beer, as I was saying, you can feel that sort of pilsnery malt just blanketing the middle of your palate. And as you go through the flavour, it kind of mellows out a little bit, and you start to get some of the biscuity. It's almost like McVitie's digestives. I don't know if you get those in America right enough. It's been about 8-9 years since I was actually over in America. I used to go very, very regularly because my dad loved it, but I can't remember if you get these McVitie's digestive biscuits over in America. But the way that the malt base kind of mellows out in this one really reminds me of that. In the middle of your palate as well, you can really feel that nice kind of creamy oaty quality to this beer. Yeah, so nice kind of creamy oaty flavours there. That's when you first take in the beer, on the first part of the taste, the oaty notes kind of do stick there. And I like how everything sort of goes together in this one in the middle of the palate there. The malt base in this one is kind of simple, but it works. And as I say, using Pilsner malts, from what I gather, is a little bit unusual. So kudos to Maplewood for trying something a little bit different. So yeah, on the hoppy side of the beer then, back corners of the palate, I think you've got a little bit of earthiness in there. That could be from the Mosaic, but it might also be from the Nugget and the Warrior in this one. And as you come a little bit further forward from that, you can feel there is a little touch of a herbal quality to this beer, which is nice. And that's something that's a little touch unusual. Oh wait, fly. So yeah, with this one, you can feel it's got a little bit of that that herbal quality in there, which is a little bit unusual actually. It's not too often that you find that in a New England IPA from what I remember. But as you come further forward towards the front corners of your palate, the beer's got a little bit of a spicy, floral aromatic note to it. But it's also got a bit of that kind of citrusy quality, which was what I was saying you get from the Warrior hop. And then round the very front curve of the palate, you've just got a little bit of that nice kind of grassy note to it as well. And of course the beer really comes alive. That little oily bubble that you get behind the front curve of your palate, that's where the nice sort of oily esters the oily fruity esters start to come out of the beer. But yeah, with this one, it is kind of pretty much as I was saying. So with this beer, it's mainly the kind of backbone of it, I would say, is the passion fruit. It's got a nice juicy passion fruity note to it, this beer. And then on top of that, when the flavour evolves a little bit more, that's when you get the kind of tangerine oranges. You've seen how long it was since I took a sip of this beer. The oranges come out a little bit more towards the front of the tongue, just further back on that oily bubble. That's where you get the passion fruit. And the passion fruit, I've always found, has a slightly darker flavour. It's almost a little bit more sour. It's not quite as strong in its sourness as grapefruit, but the passion fruit is just kind of sitting there towards a little bit more towards the back of the tongue, and you've got the kind of tangerine orange is just a little bit in front of that, right on the tip of the palate. Of course, that's where you get the nice oily blue. That's where you get a nice little bit of that blueberry complex that you can get, or complexity I should say, that you can get from the mosaic hop in this one. But everything in this beer goes together really nicely, and it's very easy to drink. This one, I always, you can say that about a lot of these New England IPAs, but in particular because of the way the Pilsner malts behave and the flavour of this one, it is actually it's a really easy to drink beer. This. And I have to admit, on the basis of how this beer has turned out, I'd love to see how these guys would get on with a West Coast IPA, because I think a good way to kind of describe this one is this is a little bit more like, it has the New England flavour if you like, but it's a little bit more like a New England IPA that has a bit more of a West Coast mouthfeel to it, which I think is quite nice. It does, the Pilsner malts in this one, it doesn't have as big a creamy mouthfeel as some of the New England IPAs that you're going to get, and I mean it works quite well. It gives the beer just a little bit more kind of drinkability if you like, because I've always found with the New England beers, they are very easy to drink, but after a while you can, you start to feel a little bit full from them if you like, but this one is very easy to drink. So let's talk about that mouthfeel a little bit more then. Overall, I would say this beer is at the bottom end of mid-bodied. It's at somewhere between the kind of top end of light-bodied and the bottom end of mid-bodied, and somewhere in there if that makes sense. But for me, mouthfeel overall, the carbonation is very smooth in this one, which is again what you'd expect from the style. See, overall the mouthfeel has a little bit of an oily character to it. Like I say, a good way to describe this one for me is it's got a little bit of that West Coast mouthfeel, but it's got some of the, it does have a little touch of the creaminess from the New England IPA, so it's kind of well balanced, and that gives it that sort of almost sessionability that I was talking about. In terms of IBUs of this one, it has a little bit of hoppy bitterness, and I like how it's got a little bit more of a kind of citrusy, herbal kind of thing, which I think is quite cool. IBUs in this beer must just be around sort of 25-30, it's kind of around that sort of mark with this beer, I would say. Malt base in the middle of your palate, there's a little bit of sweetness there, but mainly it's quite a smooth malt base, and you've got some nice kind of juicy, fruity qualities in there as well. But overall, really nice beer this one, and it's cool to see how the Pilsner malt behaves in the New England IPA, because as far as I can remember, I've actually not had a beer where they've used Pilsner malt in the malt base, or saying a New England IPA where they've used Pilsner malt and malt base, so that's quite an interesting way to go about it, I have to say. So kudos to, pardon me, the Maplewood Brewery for that. But yeah, on the basis of this one, I'd certainly be very curious to try some of their other beers. I need to see if I can get hold of their West Coast IPA somehow. But yeah, nice beer this one, and I'm certainly glad I got to try it. As I always say, it's cool to try things from the different states in America, because it's so difficult to get some of these different beers. But yeah, I'm really glad that I got to try this one, and thanks to Kiosk in Copenhagen for organising this kind of Chicago Beer Week. They're very good at doing things like that. They like to organise beers from different parts of America, which is very cool, I would say. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. So this one was the Son of Juice New England IPA at 6.3% from the Maplewood Brewery in Chicago in Illinois. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Make sure you check out my social media. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Maplewood Brewery as well, and do let me know some of the other beers and breweries that I should check out from around the kind of Chicago, Illinois area as well. But thank you once again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon with more beer reviews. The Son of Juice New England IPA from Maplewood Brewery in Chicago, Illinois. A really nice New England IPA. It uses Pilsner malt, which is a little bit unusual, and it's got a bit of that kind of West Coast mouthfeel to it, which I really like, because I've missed that recently with this whole kind of haze craze that's going on. But thank you once again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out my social media, have a go at some of these Maplewood beers if you get the chance. Until the next time, Slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Slàinte, skål.